The solution to this example, first part, we just want to make that proper case. So I'm going to go and find the proper function and just point there. Okay, so that works fine. We can then continue as per normal. I'm going to just find the space. So when you use the find function or the search function, we're going to find space. Please look in that cell there. For now, don't worry about the start number. It tells me where the first space is. We've got a first name and surname. So what we'll do is, for the first name we know it's at the end, so we use a mid function. And I'm going to say, look at the name, start at that number of characters, we'll just do 100. So these, that should do that. We should be able to copy it down. And a little bit lower down, you'll see there are some problems, but we'll address those just now and just understand how we're going to sort them out. Surname, it's on the left hand side. Again, we're looking at that space. So I can do a left. I'm just going to say it's whatever that is. If you enter it, you'll notice that there's a space at the end, so I actually would prefer to go -1. So that's fine. But we do know that there's some situations like this where there's a double barrel. And depending on how the person's name's set up, it may actually be part of the first name or the surname. And there's no real clever way of doing it. Unfortunately, you're going to have to look at it. But how do we find all the names that have this double barrel? Well, we know that if there's only one space, it's probably a name and surname. If there's two or more, it could be a double barrel. And there will be some cases down here where actually there's no other spaces. So we've also got a similar type of problem here, because is that the person's first name or surname? There is no function that can easily say how many spaces are in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of a trick. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell Excel to look at this cell and remove all the spaces. We're then going to say, look at the cell again, count how many characters there are, and subtract it from the one that has no spaces. So we're going to do it in a couple of steps. So let's do the substitute first. And what I'm going to say is, please go to that cell, find any spaces you have, and replace them with nothing. So you'll see that's what the answer is going to be. We have that. In front of that, I'm going to use the len function. And remember, all the len function does is counts how many characters there are. So in this case, it's counted not that, it's counted it without the spaces. If I did another len in front, I'm just going to do it up here, and I actually counted how many spaces there are in the original, you'll notice it says 15. And that's because the first one had a space, second one we removed it, therefore it's 14. So to work out how many spaces there are, in the front here I'm going to say len, open bracket, look at the original, minus the length of what we substituted. And notice now that says 1. I'm going to go all the way down here and copy it. And now you'll see you can actually start to tell where there are more than one space. Now, unfortunately, as mentioned before, how this should be set up is dependent on the person's actual name. So the way we would work it then is we put the filter on, and then we'd look at any one that is not a single space. So let's switch off the single space, and you'll see now these are the names you're going to have to go through just to figure out what is the first name, what is the surname. So this is a much better way, it's a much quicker way of doing it. At least you only have to worry about these names and you're not worried about every single other name.